Good morning, y'all. Happy Sunday fun day. It is Sunday, 9 September, which is really 7. Wonder how that happened. October is 10. How did Oct is 8? So, anyways, besides the point. So 9/25, 2022. Welcome to Quantum Christianity, Quantum Universal Christ Ministries, and Quantum Gaia Healing. I had a special week this past week that I'm going to share my experience and give a teaching from. And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So because I didn't do a going live, a preview, and I just kind of came straight on, I'm going to just give a couple minutes so people can hang in. I'm going to go grab my coffee, and then I will be back and we shall start. So just, what are we on now? A minute. So just give me till here at 10:30. We'll start 10:30 on the nose. How about that? 10:30. All right, I'll be right back. Coffee. All righty, y'all. I'm back. It is 10:30 on the nose. I'm kind of excited this morning. I'm always excited. Y'all know how I do. All right, so this past week I was fortunate enough to attend a elementals retreat in the beautiful Yellowstone, in right there on the border of Montana and Wyoming. I flew into Bozeman. I should have pulled up some pictures. Oh, maybe I can pull up some pictures. Or y'all just look. I'll post some on the Quanta Gaia Healing Facebook page if you want to see some. Anyway, so it was over at the Summit Lighthouse, which is an international community of different people who come from different walks of life, different religions, who come to want to understand their mind, body, and spirit better. And they do that through their own religion that was created by Elizabeth Clare Prophet. And that was called the Church Universal and Triumphant. So the facility is called the Royal Tenton Ranch. It was owned by Forbes back in the early 1900s. It was then sold to the prophets, I believe in the early 80s. And their mission was to establish a self-sustaining community. And the I am presence. They believe, and I say believe because they don't know, unfortunately, but they believe that that there is that everyone has the ability to become christened or receive Christhood, and I talk about this a lot in my videos as well. I believed that for 37 years, and now I know that with a G. So they talk a lot about that, and then they have kind of all this other stuff, and I'll go into it a little bit. Some of their teachings and how they correspond a lot with my teachings. I feel like I've got the sugar on top with Jesus. So Jesus is the key to that secret chamber in your heart, because he's the only one who gave you unconditional love. He's the only one who literally gave up his life and took all the karma with him. And so I've been able to connect Jesus to it all. And I feel like that is a key piece of their puzzle that they're missing there. It was kind of unfortunate to see so many people so far from spirituality and so focused on the dogma of religion. It was unfortunate. I think they've kind of lost the heart of what Elizabeth's teachings were. And she's probably not happy right now. But in any event, so let's get into it. So I'm going to pull up their main principle and teaching here so that I can go through that a little bit. Where is it? Oh, maybe I didn't open them. Hold on a second. That's probably what happened. All right, let's do that. Hold on, downloads. So their main teaching is in regards to the threefold flame. And I'm going to go through that as it correlates to how it translates over into, other religions. And Lord have mercy. Hi guys. I am on my video. So if you guys can just go outside or upstairs, that'd be great. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. I'm literally talking right now. Okay. Please don't come right now, because I'll ask you guys to come over in a second. Okay. I'm trying to get things up right now. All right. Well, here's my daughter. She doesn't listen. Go ahead and talk, sweet girl. I haven't talked much to them about it yet, but I am going to, and they decided to come home a little early this morning. So I'm live right now. Oh, good. Okay. So can you guys go so I can, and close my door, please, so I can. That's okay. Thank you. Ask Daddy to do that. Daddy. Thank you. All right. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. So their main teaching is about the threefold flame. And let me pull that up here. Share. Okay. So here it is. So balancing your threefold flame. So they talk about the pink flame being the love flame, the blue flame being knowledge, and then the yellow flame being wisdom, power, wisdom, and love. So where else do we hear that? Pretty much everywhere. Mind, body, spirit. The Freemasons, that's their thing with the triangle. So everything's about the three. It is about the Trinity, but for each individual person. And each individual's person's Trinity is completely unique from someone else's. And that's where we're going to be coming to that understanding here, that Christ consciousness. It's coming back here for this next age of enlightenment, right? In the light. Okay, so they talk a lot about light and the spectrum. I find that they have a really deep rooted Catholic undertone to everything. There's statues everywhere, and not just of Mother Mary and Jesus Christ, but Buddha, Krishna. They're they are very much focused on ritual and decreeing, and for me there was no spiritual connection. It was very surface, like you would find in a Catholic church, where people go because they're just scared and they feel like that if they do these things that God will give them grace, because they're doing what the priest told them to do. Right? Okay, do 3 Hail Marys and 2, this, that, and the other. As a Christian, and as a born again Christian in legalistic Christianity or evangelical Christianity, you understand that relationship was with Christ and Christ alone. And so, which is what they teach. And then yet they do all of these things that are the complete opposite from Christ in you, right? And so, so I found a lot of it contradictory. However, I do have many books of hers, and I find her teachings to be in line with my philosophy and theology as well. However, I don't know if it's because she transitioned, they say, in 2009. So that was 12 years ago. And I don't know if there's been anyone to be able to really understand what those teachings were. And Jesus was able to give us the perfect example. So anyway, so that's a threefold flame. And then they talk about this inner chamber of white light. And this is where that's the Christ light, that white light inside. And we know that that Jesus held that white light, and he chose with his own free will to use his body as a sacrifice to take all the karma in the world. And the world doesn't mean the earth. The world means the universe. Okay, so the Bible says worlds, it says earth, and they're two different things. So we understand that there's our reality, and then there's everything else outside the veil of what this is that we see here. And we'll go over spectrums of light here in a second, and I'm going to kind of tie that in from a science side, and then we'll keep going. So this is from the Summit Lighthouse. So they have I would call them chapters, kind of in a couple places internationally, their main one being in Colombia, South America, which just so happens to be a very Catholic country. That's their religion, their national religion, whereas that's not the case in the United States. Okay, so that's that. What else? Let's see. Okay, so let's okay, inner chamber. So this gets me into share, hide, oh, cancel, hide, show and stream. Okay, so this gets me to this book, The Journey for the Inner Chamber, and this is your phi movement, right? This DNA spiral that keeps going, and this is on a micro scale, and this is on a macro scale. So micro would be our DNA, right? Then you can go into the seashell, which I actually bought one, so I don't have it in front of me. I wonder if it's in my room. So you can look at it physically, right? And then also our galaxy moves that way, and then our galaxy moves through the universe that way. So we're kind of like everything is moving up and up and up at every single macro micro scale. And so in order to get into that inner chamber to understand your Christhood, there are different ways of getting there, 100%. And before Jesus, it was only that, you had to figure it out for yourself. But Jesus, or God, the totality, being that he could see through space time, that there was going to be these times, there were going to be these pockets of existence through space time that would have a very difficult time coming to that understanding. And understanding is bringing knowledge, wisdom, and love together in perfect balance. And that is, where the metaphysical properties of your body understand that you've come to that consciousness, and your brain explodes, and it's a fantastic feeling. So the journey to the inner chamber is just that. It's Jesus is just one step away from you understanding that you are Christ as well. And he told us this. He said, everything I can do, you have in you too, he says. So we just don't believe it, or we say we believe it, but we don't know it. And that's where we come to that one last step of where Jesus was. And we don't have to follow in his footsteps. We can become just like him, Christ in the flesh, baby. So the journey to the inner chamber, great book. And again, this is like a spirit science. So it's going to take that body, mind, and spirit that Jesus was able to represent in perfection. Okay. So, what I'm excited about? I was thinking about this morning. I am excited to tell the universe about Jesus. Because, he if you are in the weakest place you can be, with no strength, you have a place to go at the cross, and you can put your faith and trust that if you continue to do the right thing and the next right thing, and follow in a high vibration, right, of peace, joy, and understanding, he gives us a way to live there without having to figure it out the hard way, is pretty much what it is. Now, that's not to say that people want to go do it the hard way, right? Sure, some of us, we don't want to surrender. We want to make the decision for ourselves. We want that freedom to choose. And that's where the perfect balance comes in, is that one way is not right or wrong, and we can't judge each other. But eventually we're all going to get to the same place. And that's understanding that we are God in the flesh. We are, as a collective of from a macro to a micro level, the will of God. And we create and manifest what it is we want for our lives and for the planet. And this is where mass hypnosis comes in. And she talks about this. This is where we're being programmed to live like zombies or robots through life, never finding purpose, never finding mission, never finding our creativity, to be able to express as a piece, as a fractal of the light of God. That's why we're here, because he's expressing himself this way. And so, but we're in control of that, right? And so we have to this is where I say you have to be the hands and feet. So it's as a evangelical Christian sometimes, or certainly legalistic, it's kind of me, myself, and my Bible, right? I want to make sure I pray every day, and I meditate every day, right? So coming from anywhere, and I do this and I do that, and I do, in the Catholic Church, I do 10 Hail Marys a day, whatever. And so at this church, it's, decreeing and this, that, and the other. And it's just ritual. There's no connection. So how do you get the connection is the question. So this is where you have to go in. And then Christians, evangelical Christians, already came in, right? They understand that Christ lives in them, kind of. Some Christians do, some Christians don't. But they don't understand that like it's a literal representation of the soul of Christ. That's what I like to call Christ. Christ is the soul, and then God the Father is the mind, and then the Holy Spirit is the mother. The Holy Mother is the Holy Spirit. So they don't have that understanding yet. They think that the Holy Mother and the Spirit or the divine feminine are different when they're that's what the Holy Spirit is, represents the divine feminine. And then, Father God, the divine masculine, mind, heart. And then the manifestation is Jesus Christ. The manifestation is Christ consciousness, which is coming now again in this new age of enlightenment, in the age of Aquarius. This is spoken about by Jesus. The Bible only has 3 years of Jesus's life plus his birth. That's it. But there's texts that were found all over the world in Persia, because he studied, in the Far East, and he studied in the Far West. And there's texts and there's literature of his life that were either lost or found later or were kept out, because knowledge is power, and people in power want to stay in power, right? So here you understand that if you've woken up, some of you have woken up politically. Some of you have been able to connect the dots that government is corrupt. It's all hocus pocus. And, the government needs to be by the people, for the people, right? And as soon as we lose that, it becomes too much chaos, right? So there has to be something, and that something is the Constitution. So people understand that the Constitution is a divine document for divine government and a divine kingdom manifestation on planet Earth. Okay. This is why America is called America. Let's go over that. Shall we? All right. Where is America? America. So when you get into the secret chamber of the heart, I'm talking to Summit Lighthouse people. So if this is kind of like, what is she talking about? I'm trying to resonate with that group of people who follow these teachings, so that I can kind of pull them into what the universal truth is. Okay. And so where is it? Oh, here it is. Show and stream. Okay, hold on. Cancel. Show and stream. Hide. Okay, so Merkaba. Okay. Merkaba. The Merkaba is is in sacred geometry. Okay, in sacred geometry, we have hard angles, and then we have soft angles. If you go to geometry from high school, right? You talk about which ones have edges and which ones don't, right? So a Merkaba is once you ignite that light, okay? And now your force field, from a metaphysical level, like a literal metaphysical level, as well as from a spiritual level, gets to be overextended, because you are carrying the original light of the essence of who you were through space-time, from alpha to omega, and they understand alpha and omega as well. And what we have to understand is both of those aspects of who we are, the dark and light, we have to accept them both. And that's how we come into balance. If we're only focused on the light and we do no shadow work and we never grow in the darkness, then we're going to be stagnant. And when we're stagnant, we cause blockages, and not just within ourselves, but within the universe, macro, micro, within your neighborhood, within your country, et cetera, et cetera. And that consciousness is quantumly connected through our pineal gland, because our pineal gland has the same microcrystals that the computers use to hold information. So all of our cell phones have a little crystal chip in it that holds the information. And this is why crystals are such a big deal in a lot of communities, including the Summit Lighthouse. They are big on crystals, and crystals is one kingdom of understanding knowledge or information. Because literally it can hold information. So having them around you, the sun, the crystals absorb more of that light from the sun, because we all come from the great central sun, right? Because we are all light at the end of the day. Genesis 1, There was the spirit hovering over the waters. There was only two things. You had spirit, you had metaphysical, you had sacred geometry, soft edges, sacred geometry, hard edges, and you also had sound. Okay. So those vibrations, those frequencies, they play on each other. And all it is experience and existence. We're the electrons running around understanding existence. And so, it's difficult to understand those concepts because we think so narrowly and so linearly we also think, from a small to a big perspective, but to really understand that the ins and outs of space-time have nothing to do with size, and our limited thinking is where your mind explodes into not being able to fathom the mansions of the Father's house, right? And these mansions could be universes, they could be realities, they could be timelines, they could be dimensions. You can resonate with any of that. So Merkaba is the light, the perfect light body. Okay, that's what that means. It's a light body. Okay, and your starship, if you will. Now, America. This is where America comes from. Merkaba. Okay, America. So America is the divine kingdom. So yes, America is special. Okay, it doesn't mean that we need to be Christian nationalists. That's not what that means. So we're going to go into that as well. I'm going to be that balance, and I know that I'm going to be I'll be persecuted just like Jesus did, right? And it won't be till I die, and 100 years later, or maybe 1,000 years later, will people take my word seriously. But so this is where America comes from. And America, and our founding fathers, who many were Freemasons, and they understood the perfect balance of mind, body, and spirit. Okay, because that's what they studied. These were initiates of the mystic schools and the Gnostic schools that had to go underground, because if they preached what Jesus preached, what Jesus preached, that they would be persecuted. And so thus became these secret societies where they can pass this knowledge on so that their lineage and their blood can live in perfect balance and harmony. And what ended up happening was they become infiltrated, and so greed and power takes over, because everything has to go through cycles, yin and yang. Okay, we have to accept both, babies, because if it ain't going to be accept both on this planet, it's going to have to resonate. It's going to have, the energy has to cause an effect somewhere else, because everything is cause and effect. And there's only two things, remember, the water and the spirit. And then there was light. So if you can get past the light and then into the spirit, which is the quantum, which is the universal field, or the unified field, they say, because everything is connected. There's only, space has to touch everything. So once you fill in the space, right, then you realize you're the observer. Then you realize, oh, I don't have to just be that one fleck. I can kind of float around in between and see all these other flecks going on. And this is where psychic abilities come in. This is where a special spiritual gifts come in that are spoken about in Acts. We ignite our 12-strand DNA. We don't have 2, we've got 12 and 24 and 36. Some of us have ignited. So, there's these layers of consciousness of understanding God's spirit and God's mind. And so some people might have expanded consciousness in God's mind, and that could be artificial intelligence, that can be quantum computers, that can be divine government, and then that can also be spirituality, and what the body of Christ should look like, and so on and so forth. So everyone's got like a little piece of their perfected understanding of the totality, and we all just have to figure out what that is. And the more of us ignite that light, it's contagious. It's just going to keep lighting, and the more we light it up, the more we come into that age of enlightenment, right? Where we come to understanding our existence in the universe. And then we get to meet our ET friends because they've been waiting so long for us to figure it out. So let's figure it out. All right. So there's America. What else do we got here going on? Let's see. All right. So let's look at the spectrum of light, shall we? The eye. Share. Okay. So hide, show and stream. All right. So here we are. So we've got the eye, right? And everything is the eye. Oh, Lord have mercy. The universe is in your eye and your eye is in the universe. And so there is a large spectrum of light waves, and there's a large spectrum of sound waves. Okay, I'm going to focus on light because that was what they focused on. They didn't really talk too much about frequencies and things like that, music, and understanding that aspect, because that's just not a part of their teaching, right? That teaching is somewhere else in the universe, so that when the earth is destroyed, we'll have to bring those pieces to the puzzle together until we come to understanding and ignite, and we go round and round and round. We go up and up and up and up and up the totem pole to evolution unto eternity. Now, and then eternity is innate. So we just keep looping back around and up and around and up and around and up and around. All right. So anyway, visible light. You have radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, which I'm going to tie in here with the church because everything there is the violet flame. And the violet represents freedom, and Saint Germain being one of the masters that they worship there. They worship all the masters. They haven't understood that you don't need to worship any of the masters, that you're your own master. Within God, right? The totality. So, where's that balance? How do we love one another? How do we accept one another? And acceptance is unconditional love. So people talk about, oh, love, 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 love. And love is not rainbows and butterflies. Love doesn't mean kindness. Love, just kindness, I should say. Love doesn't just mean gratitude. Love doesn't just mean being passive, or sacrifice. Those are aspects of love. Love is the totality of everything, because God is love and everything comes from God. And so we have to understand that everybody on this planet is a unique representation of God's light and God's spirit, or so God's water and God's spirit, right? And the spirit is what, turns to light and reflects off the water to have this holographic universe of a dream within a dream within a dream for eternity. Now, so we can't see jack shit is pretty much what I'm trying to get at here. So this is where we get into kind of these layers, this philosophy, or understanding that all of existence is happening at the same time in different frequencies and wavelengths. And so we can touch, mystics and things, we can kind of touch into those other aspects as a part of the universal field, since we can slip into the space in between, and we can understand how that can be from a metaphysical standpoint, not just from a psychological standpoint of understanding. So with that said, this is how existence is all happening at the same time, is because it's a different spectrum of light. So our spectrum of light here, whether it be and I don't know this information, I'm sure it's already been found out by somebody who've delved deep into that rabbit hole. But whether or not it's just humanity that our spectrum is this visible light, or GBIV, or it's anyone with spirit, and not what's living, what's not living kind of a thing. Yes, we're all energy in a part, but there's differences. So so I don't know whether it's just humanity or not, but in any event, what, whether dogs, what animals see this spectrum, right? So we don't know if animals will, what they, or maybe we do know, who knows. But anyway, so that's what we see. So we don't see all sorts of stuff, right? If you have a cat, your cat sees random crap all the time. And there's nothing there. So they have this sixth sense of seeing things in a different spectrum somewhere, right? And the eye is the only thing that we, as a species in this timeline of understand what the eye is, how the eye works, and is there practical understanding and data to how the eye receives information and processes it uniquely through the personality. This is where you can get into some crazy psychotherapy stuff going on in there. But anyway, so that's that. So that was one thing. So they focus on the rays of light, and each there's different masters who represented the different rays of color, and the different rays of color, representing a different aspects, being seven of perfection, a different aspect of understanding the totality of the light. And then, you understand the totality of the light by putting it through a prism. So let's pull that up. Did I get a prism up? I should have. Where are you? Nope, I don't. All right, hold on a second. Gotta get a prism. Oh, there it is. All right. Why is this not? Oh, no. I did not then cancel. All right, I don't know why. This is like huge. Okay, let's see if this works now. Here we go. All right, so hide, show and stream. All right, so here we are. So no matter which way you pass through the prism, it doesn't matter, okay? Some of us are starting with white light and understanding that it's okay to be unique, and it's okay to experience the rays of color. And some of us are on our consciousness is fragmented, and we're coming to understanding who we are from the opposite end, where you're understanding your Christhood and your divine light that you were given from the beginning of time, that will go on for eternity, because we all have eternal life. The difference between everlasting life is immortality or mortality, and you can come through that through not knowing, and surrendering it to Jesus Christ, who was the Lamb, or you can come to it in knowing, with a G, gnosis, and becoming a lion. And so those are two paths of getting to that same truth at the top of the pyramid, or the top of the prism, right? And so here we get into pyramids, right? And we go into ancient Egypt, and that all ties into Jesus again, into Christ, Christ. And so, the term Christ has been around, since kingdom come. Jesus wasn't called a Christ until the year 325, when they had the Council of Nicaea, where they finally were able to agree that he indeed was, the Christ, or a Christ, is going to be based on your perspective, right? And so here we are. So, and this is where we understand numbers a little bit too, and we get into ancient Jewish mysticism, or Judaism, which is Kabbalah, and understanding the tree of life, and that being the body representation of how to live in the body in perfect balance, right? And then we have to understand the spirit in perfect balance, and we understand the mind in perfect balance. And then this way, when we have our Trinity, you can, and again, you can do that by gaining knowledge, and you can do that by walking whatever path you want to walk, whether you want to take a bunch of zigzags, detours, and this, that, and the other, or you just want to say, I'm gonna just follow Jesus, and that'll do it for me, right? And so, you know, and again, I tell people that I lived in that peace and that joy only 37 years. I never peaked anywhere. I said, nope, giving it to God. Vote for Jesus. Never voted in my life. Vote for Jesus. But when you live in that joy for so long, and then you really start asking questions, and you're like, well, why is it that way? Like, I want to understand, right? And there's something wrong with the world, and how do we be the hands and feet, right? Because we're God in the flesh, we're Christ in the flesh, so we have to be the hands and feet. And so and Jesus gave us a little bit of a way how to be the hands and feet, but from a, because it's only 3 years in the Bible is what I meant. But obviously he was a perfected, okay, so there's not one definition of perfect, but a perfected Christ, who chose with his free will to use his life as a metaphysical representation of what it means to come to your own Christhood. We have 33 vertebrae in our spine. He died when he was 33. That's not a coincidence. That's because he knew that there were people who studied the metaphysical, that there were people who studied the darkness, black magic. And so those people understood the body, and that you could talk to your cells, and that you could cast spells, and all of these things that people were so fearful of. And he understood that. And so he tried to tie that in to get those people too. And then you look at his 12 disciples that represented the 12 zodiac. And they were all completely different. And he purposely made sure that everyone could resonate with somebody that followed him. And that was to grab the people who had no spirit, right? And then you also had the people who had only spirit, and they didn't understand the other side. So he, when Christian pastors say that, there is a symbolic representation of Christ on that cross, 100%. He pulled the East and the West together, and that is a literal representation of the philosophy on the earth, in the world, pulling those two philosophies together into perfect balance. Woo! Lord have mercy. Let's get that one up. Jesus. Hold on. Where's my Jesus? Oh, here he is. Okay. Share. Hold on. As I click these out. All right. Show and stream. Hide. Jesus. The Bible teaches us that Jesus died at age 33. Why 33? Freemasons, number 33. Walt Disney, 33 Club. Obviously, Disney has been infiltrated, right? And they are trafficking children all over the world. So 33 is an understanding. 33 is a consciousness ignition. Oh, it says right there. It symbolizes the energy rising up to your 33 vertebrae, going up into the brain where Christ consciousness dwells. And that is the understanding that you are co-creator, and you can sit at the right hand of God along with Jesus and his spirit that lives on forever. And so he has his own individual spirit, Jesus, or individual soul, I should say. I'm sorry. Individual soul that obviously became immortal. And so he was, is, and will be somewhere in manifest body, somewhere in the universe at all times, just like all of us. So, but anyway, so this is there's this science is there as to understanding what how you become anointed, what the hormone or the chemical property of what ignites and travels up into, you know, the pituitary and pineal glands to release the colostrum, the white milky substance. So anyway, that's there too. All right, what else do I got? Let's see. You know what? Let me actually. All right, I'm gonna do something. Oh, okay. They did talk a lot about this, and I do want to bring this in because Christians don't talk about it at all. So don't be mad at me. Show and shame. Okay. Eternity is the same as reincarnation. All right. So reincarnation, Jesus was taught, Jesus understood, Jesus talked about it in the Bible. The term was not used when it was translated. However, Jewish people understand reincarnation, as do Hindus, Buddhists, the Incas, the Native Americans. Everybody on the planet except today's Christians understand that reincarnation is the same thing as eternity. Now, people's eternities are different. Reincarnation is the rebirth cycle. This is also called samsara or samsara. And that is when you live a life, right, in a body, in an avatar or a vessel. Okay. And your spirit connects with a body avatar, and it doesn't even need to be humans. A lot of people have remembered past lives where they were different species of body. So but a conscious being. So anyway, those stories are there. Go find them. So you, once you go through a life and you die, you have your judgment, or you kind of see your life in front of you, and then you know, the lessons that you learned, and what, you know, what lessons you need to learn for your next adventure. And so you know, then you're born again into a new body, and you without remembering, obviously. Now some children do remember, and these the younger you are, the more, you know, vivid of the remembering they have. And as the older you get, obviously with programming and things, those memories dissipate in this life. But so yeah, so then you reincarnate to move into the next part of your soul's evolution. Okay. And that's based on your thought, and your heart and your mind and your soul, and where your trinity is or is not in balance. So they understand reincarnation at the Summit Lighthouse. They did not go into mortality or immortality. And they I don't think they understand, like they talk a lot about ascension, and ascended masters, and they worship these masters, and so to me it's contradictory to the whole point of your I am, that you are, right? And so why are we looking at these other masters when you can do that, and then you have God the Almighty, or the divine, or the, you know, the totality of all? There's no reason why you can't have just a direct connection. I didn't understand any of that aspect of their practice. So eternity is the same as reincarnation. So they understand reincarnation, whereas Christians have no clue. They just think that heaven is a place and they're going to go there when they die, and that you know, and they don't care and they surrender it, which is, again, that's fine, but we can't do it based on fear that, you know, we're going to a better place next time. That's not how it works. In theory, I guess it is how it works from a standpoint of that if you resonated here in a life of peace, joy, and happiness, you know, not in perfection by any you know what, but that you did your best and tried to, you know, follow Jesus, right? Be a disciple of Jesus, then you would, you know, have a similar experience in your next life. And so, you know, that is the most probable explanation of that. But if you're searching for deeper truth in the inner chambers of your heart and mind, there is more. And this is where we get into mortality and immortality. And Jesus spoke about why people didn't, seek to be immortal in Romans. So anyway, so, you know, we talk about eternity, and there are some Protestant Christian denominations or non-denominational churches who do not believe that you need to do anything to have eternal life, that Jesus paid the price. He said it is finished, and that's the end of the ball game, so that everybody can live eternally if you surrender it to Jesus. Now, I all stand that those people who give it to Jesus feel, and I vouch for this too. Again, this is in surrender, in unconditional love, because you can't open that inner chamber without unconditional love. And the only way you feel unconditional love is by accepting the free gift of Jesus Christ. That's it. Because there's nobody else who lived a life of balance, not perfection, a life of balance, and then chose consciously, using the Father's mind at the highest level of totality, to say a sacrifice was needed. And this is part of Satanism. I talked about this last time, where, you know, a sacrifice has to be made because karma has to be paid because of cause and effect. This is the first law of the universe, hermetics, cause and effect, right? Yin and yang, balance. So when he said the Father, he meant the totality. He meant that he had a cosmic consciousness, that this was necessary for the universe. And I can't wait to tell the universe about what Jesus did, because it gives an opportunity for anybody to have freedom in their soul and their spirit, to just give it to God, and it'll all work out, because it has to, because existence has to be balanced for it to have existence. If not, there would be nothing. There would be the Spirit hovering over the waters, and he'd be bored. Okay, let's see what else I got, y'all. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to call it a day. Ooh, Lord have mercy. Oh, I've got some pyramid stuff here. I won't get into that. But I'm going to end with this one. Share. Remove. Show and stream. All right. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. So again, your light is right at that point of understanding your white light, that you are God. But you're not the only God. Everybody else is God too. And there's that fractals of light, and we only see just a little stream. So we've got all this other stuff in the multi-universe that we don't know nothing about. And they are waiting for us to come to this understanding of our existence within space-time to participate with the Galactic Confederation. But we can't do that, and we can't play in that game, in that movie, or watch that movie, whatever you resonate with, until we come to this understanding. We're in the 3rd grade, y'all, and some of us are in 4th grade. and fourth grade is still duality. Okay. Fourth grade still duality. If you want to come to unity, you have to get to unity, 5D. That is fifth dimensional thinking, unity. This is where the new earth is going. If you are not on board, you will not be here for it, some way, shape, or form. And this is biblical. I am not going to get into all of that because that is a series of lessons in and of itself. Unity, y'all. Unity. Okay? But we can't have unity without truth. And this is where we go back to the Constitution. And we understand that the way the divine kingdom needs to be run is with truth, no lies, freedom, free will, uniqueness. Everybody's light is unique. And fairness, which is justice, which is karma, which is cause and effect. We all make mistakes. We all fall short of the glory of God because we're only a piece, one little fleck of light of the totality of his light. And so we are all imperfect. But if we decide to play in this movie our roles, then we have to do so with values, with ethics and morals. Okay. And if we go outside of those, then we have to have consequences. And if we don't have consequences, that causes ripples in the energy for everything macro, micro. So we have to take responsibility. Okay. From an individual level to governmental level to so on and so forth. So truth, freedom, justice. Declaration of Independence is the perfect divine document. It was inspired by God himself, the totality of the multi-universe, to represent what a perfect nation of government should look like. So the quicker we can get back to that, the quicker everything can be rainbows and butterflies, and we can stand together as one, united. Where there's one, we come many. It's on the dollar bill, means the same thing as God. You either understand God outside of you or you understand God is inside of you, but you understand that it is supernatural no matter what. I'm going to end with that, y'all. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Truth, freedom, justice, love, light, logic, reason. Namaste.